we want to take some moments of your time and discuss on an interesting topic: global standards, visualization, and facades. But today we want to focus on contemporary designs, since most of our designs that we do in the office are contemporary designs. So we've heard a lot about facades in school. We studied it, and if you are like me, at some point or the other, you have searched on Google, how can I create interesting facades? Or as an architect, all the time, you always go on Pinterest when you receive a job to do, to look for inspiration photos. And there's no shame in that, looking for references in order to improve on your own work. So we'll focus on 4 areas today. First, we want to understand what contemporary design is. Next is the design approach. How can we approach designing contemporary buildings? Then the third one, we now see have this workflow. How does your design on Revit or any BIM software you use flow with visualization? How can you make it a seamless process between designing and visualizing? Then fourth, we will now focus on the actual visualization, where we can tell stories with our renders. So let's begin by understanding what a contemporary design is, or what is the contemporary style. So it's a style that is modern. We use it in this present time. So it uses modern elements together to form a single structure. The defining characteristics of the contemporary design is its refusal to follow tradition, and it insists on being unconventional. That is, whenever you start a contemporary design, you do not want to do what has been done before. You want to create something different. But in creating something different, you are using the principles and the elements that have already been laid down. Some of these principles we already learned them while in school. Things like emphasis, balance, repetition, juxtaposition at times. We apply all these principles, but in a way that creates a design that is always unique. There's a case study that I was so interested in when I saw it. I don't know if you are like me, the first thing you will notice about this contemporary design is its color. It is a simple design, but what makes it stand out is its color. So it uses that principle of design. So in essence, that is what contemporary design is all about. It's not about many things. It's about picking a single element, emphasis, line, color, texture, and creating something that is interesting. So for this design, it was fragmented into different sections, so that they are now connected by these external parts and covered squares. So the vocabulary of this architecture, it looks solid, right? And it makes use of squares and rectangles. And if you notice, the materials that we use in this design are minimal. You don't have a lot of textures, just metal for the window panes, glass, and this material that was used. It's more like a stucco finish, but the color makes it stand out, and that is why you can appreciate the design. So I want to ask, by looking at this image, is it a picture or a render? Who can tell?
The one down Cyprus. Couple seconds.
Render. Wait, this is the one almost like a render. What can they say? See a render. Super to the same.
Yeah, both pictures. Yeah, both live pictures. But that is the amazing thing about modern day visualization. It blurs the line between reality and things that are bringing with our computers. But the line is always blurred. So, and that is what we want to achieve with GreyBoulders. So that we present our designs and we wonder, is it picture, is it a render? So these are few collages of this design still. can take time and admire the features of this design. Now, it tells a story. From here, can it tell the location of this design? What kind of region do you think it is? UAE. Desert. Exactly. Now, so this is what we want to apply in visualization. So if you get a design to do and they say it's in this location, that means the way you build the environment has to reflect where that design is. And we try to always adapt that when we keep that in mind when we are designing. So another contemporary building I'm interested in is this CCTV headquarters. Now, it's a skyscraper. Yes, but what comes to our mind when we think of skyscrapers? A rectangular tall building. This has the height of a skyscraper. But look at the form. Now, it is a simple form. Rectangles. It is single, like we said. It uses elements to create a single facade or model. So, behind the scenes of this project, they already had this form in mind. They did not start from the layout. They had the 3D model. It was made in clear and said, this is what we want to achieve. And they worked backwards, now creating the layout, the structural elements. And if you see the way the design is built, the structural element is all one. From the ground to the ceiling, it is built as one sonic elements. And that is why they were able to achieve this amazing facade. The architects were named as OMA architects. And it is united by this cantilever that is about 75 meters. It stands because the structure is one unified structure. We pose the question again. Which of these images is a render? Which one is a light image?
All online.
They are all right images.
To give you a clue, there is one render here. The top. Exactly. This is a live picture. This is the live feature. This is a render. Now, how was this achieved? Do you think they sat down to model all the buildings in the environment? Yeah, they took a drone shot. And we have a drone. So they just went to the sites, took a drone shot. Then now photomatched it with the render. So that you have the real life feel of how that project is going to be. So we are up to the next key point, design approach. How do you approach designing contemporary buildings? Now, for me, from my experience personally and what I've learned from other companies and other architects as well, I just narrowed it down to 3 things. The first is the form. So when you are designing contemporary, as you are doing the layout, what do you want it to look like? What do you want to achieve? Now, we know that we are always constrained. We are constrained by cost. We are always constrained by the client's needs and desires, and also by current trends. It's like in Nigeria these days, the standard for contemporary being set by realtors. White, green, long glass, cantilevered balconies. Yes, it's not a bad design, but it's now too repetitive. So, but how can we still cater to what the client responds to, or still create something that is unique all the same? So you keep that in mind when you begin the design. It doesn't have to be much in your form. One crazy chamfer somewhere can just add. And I really want to commend the Revit modelers in GreyBoulders, Barum, Epal, Michelle, training, and they have been coming up with some fantastic concepts. And of course, our genius mind, architects, Henshaw, for always trying to push beyond the normal. It's very easy to do a contemporary design. Just fly one balcony here, one extrusion here, you're done. But the fact that we have to go back to, we think, how can we play with those same forms, those same lines, or to create something unique? So that is in the form. Now, the form can be built from the floor plan. Like the project we worked on, Alicon. It was a bit seamless, though we had some design with but it was a bit seamless to create that design because of how they form it. So we can try that. Try to see how we can create more interesting forms on layout so that when we are now coming up with the 3Ds, it feels seamless. Or you can still play with a square plan. But as you're designing, like I said, there's no shame. You can look for reference images. Doesn't mean it has to look like that, but sketch your own and then see how you can come up with something that is truly amazing. Second is materials. You can have the simplest design anybody has ever seen, but the finishing on that design is what everybody talks about. What kind of finish do you want to use? Is it stone, adobe, something creative, something sustainable? Now, it doesn't have to be a new material that has not been there before, or for the fact that you used it on your projects. Somebody will always remember whenever that material is mentioned, it is now reference to a specific building. Then the third is details. Now, this is where it requires patience and what can also help in our workflow. Once you are done with the design, what can you add to make it unique? Can play with links. What details can you add? Landscaping. I know, yes, once the model is done, park the grass here, parking here, but there are things that we can do in landscaping that can also boost the design. Details, we have laser cuts or patterns. Like the last project you did, 269, that pattern just changed the entire vibe of that design. That single thing that we added. Yes, it looks like contemporary, but once they notice, oh, what's that? It makes it interesting. So let's look at some examples. Now, you notice from this design is a single form. There's nothing so fly about it. But what do you notice about this design?
Champa de that's internal, the Champa highlights with the core on after.
They expose. It doesn't.
Now, I picked, that's what I say is details. Alcynically, what would we use here? Glass. But you see, did not notice. It flows into like they actually use a metallic wire here, not glass. That's one. Can we try that? Because everybody is using, yes, glass, but metallic rails are still common. But now they just assume, oh, it should be glass, but he all went back, used the metallic rail. Now look at the finishing of the wall. They have used it, yes, they have been using it, but it looks unique because of the font that is now on. Then this, yes, it's everywhere, but it just makes everything look good bricks. And little details like what's happening here. They have space underneath because I know now when you are designing terraces, it's good in between two terraces you have a space that somebody can go around. Typically we just jam our floor everywhere and it's now flat. Can we do something like this? Keep maybe sitting where somebody can corners, relax, and all these things. And it now boils down to visualization. Right, so now in this area, you can tell that it's more of a Mediterranean vibe. So another thing about impulse. Now we look at this design. What stands out about this design lab is the glazing that they have used. So you see, it's still basic squares, right, with different colors and different patterns, but it still makes it look unique. So we can be trying to use such things, right? So now this borders on visualization, and these designs look good. They look sleek. They look unique because of the care that has been taken by those that visualize this work to bring it out. Now, it's not a plug and play process. It's just like when you're designing floor plans, it's very intentional. Every tree, every grass, every vehicle is placed there for a reason to help bring out the design. So you have to have a convincing model, right? Because when you are visualizing, which will help to either show how the model is looking good or to bring out the features of the model. So we now talk about our art-based walkthrough. Yes, Rarun will fight for you on this because I'm always very meticulous about modeling in Revit. It makes visualization sweeter. So any detail you feel like it's too small, it's not too small. You must pay attention, like they say, your curves, your landscaping, your lighting fixtures, the materials you want to use. Now, I want you to, this project was, what to use? Okay. Now, what helps in that art use process is three things: building the model, setting up, then building the scene. So we have capable modelers that work tirelessly to build clean, sleek models. And if you notice, when we are working together between modeling and visualization, I always pay attention to details because that is what is going to affect the outcome of the visualization. If there is any wall missing, there is any extrusion missing, I'll point it out immediately because once you visualize, that is the first thing you see. Now, you might have an amazing render, post it online, and a comment is spotted. That cut is floaty and it ruins the entire page. Right. So they will now point out there's a gap on your roof. So we have to always pay attention when we are modeling. We need to pay careful attention to these small details. So when we are through with it, just take your time, right? Look at the model. Even if you spend 2 hours just reviewing your model, it will save you more time on visualization than going back and front to it. All right. So just a case in point on how GreyBoulders. I think I was the one that worked on this project long ago, but you notice that they flow with each other. The materials, the color combination, the camera angles. That is when you are working. I know all of us are visualizers. So when you are working on your Revit models, you make these decisions while designing. I might not know what was in your mind on that project. So me now coming to select colors, I don't know what was the constraint you used to design or select materials what was the client for this particular project response. But if I have an idea for what you have done on Revit, I know, oh, you want to use this, it makes the visualization look better at the end of the day. So we now have better color combinations. And if you want to decide on color combinations, it's better done in Revit than in visualization. It takes more time when you are visualizing it than when we are. Then finally, it tells you its reprenders. That is where it now applies to me and also to all of us. Now, from this simple image, this image is credits of Renarati Pro. If you know them on Instagram, then you just know that somebody's poolside. It is taking a little cocktail sip. So all this is intentional. There's no plugin. There's no plug and play. Every tree was planted intentional, and it takes time to build. Even the water, everything takes time to build. Now, if this part of grass is not provided, right, it cannot be a hedge there. It's not magic. It will happen. So when you are working on Revit, you think about what you want to achieve with visualization. Now we look at this. You see the human characters, the elements, the lighting. It looks soft. It's not loud like this around. Right? This looks simpler. So there are some visualization that you do for artistic reasons. Like this is artistic. Or when you think about the mood, like you take a lot to achieve this. Or this seems very achievable and very realistic.